Here's a quick way you can do that manually. Basically, what I would do is take a look at the buff out log. I mean, you can look at like the scanner and see what it reports, but oftentimes he has to update what a lot of that means. And there could be some pretty obscure stuff in there. The mod author of Buff Out 4, and I can't think of the name of the mod author who actually does like the script scanner. He does a really good job, but a lot of times I kind of do two things. One, I kind of look at the buff out log myself, and I kind of do it automatically, or you can look at it manually. And let me show you that real quick. So here, let me find one here. Okay, so here in this instance over here, like right above this, okay, right above this right here, I've got a crash that's got a keyword in it. So let me bring up the buff out log. So this, when I crashed, this is the buff out log that was generated. And you can see where you were talking about the actual call stack. Let's hunt this thing up. Probable call stack. Now, to me, probable call stack is basically a set of return addresses. So you have a function that is going to call another function. You need to know where in that first function you called the second function. So when the second function completes, you can then go back to the first function, and then it'll advance the address to the next instruction. I don't really look at registers yet, although it may have something useful like in this. I'm still learning to do this too. But here I took a look at this. This is what I was talking about, where it shows the stack. And I was going through this, taking a look at these little instances where, all of a sudden, you've got these little things going on, or with these look like instruction addresses. And then all of a sudden, he kind of parses it out to say, okay, this is what the instruction address belongs to. And as I was going through this, I thought, okay, that's an ESP that was loaded. There's ESPs that were loaded. And I came across, let me see if I can find it here real quick. Now, this is doing it manually. But I also do it like this. I will actually look for keywords. So I'm just kind of doing this manually, just kind of buzzing through it and see if I can find anything. Okay, so we'll do this much quicker. All right, so basically what I've done is I've created a filter, which is a set of keywords that I can search for in a text file. The keywords I pull out of the Buff Out 4 PDF. So we'll fire this off and take a look at what I found that I have in the Buff Out 4 PDF. And here I have this keyword that shows, let's see, 3D Resource Creator. Okay, so I know that there's a keyword there I can take a look at. So what you can do manually, and it's more difficult, but what I can do manually is I'm going to go over to here, and we're going to find, let's find where I have the Buff Out 4 installed, because I'm going to need to access the PDF file. All right, it's not that one. It's not that one. Okay, it's this one. All right, so we're going to open this location. All right, so this is the actual script that gets run, or this comes with Buff Out 4 actually. I mean, I'm sorry, not Buff Out 4, but the mod author who took Buff Out 4's log and then he creates his own kind of output. And what I'm doing is looking at the PDF, and I believe he gets this PDF, I believe he gets this information from the Buff Out 4 website that the Buff Out 4 mod author developed. So what I'm going to do is, I've already got it here, but let's just say you load it up, okay, and it's up at the top, okay? So what I want to do is I'm going to go in here, and it's in a web browser, so I'm just going to do a find, and what I'm going to look for is 3D resource, okay, and it pops up here. So in the buff out log where you have this particular keyword, and I think in your instance you had virtual machine, you can actually see where he talks about the solution. Now these are known solutions. There may be, these are solutions to a known problem, although it might be possible to have an unknown problem that is similar but not fully understood. So I think you had a virtual machine. See, this is the one you had. See where it says Papyrus? And this is what it says here. So you can actually find this in the log scanner thing. And it tells you how you can kind of try to solve this. And part of it was the resaver option I gave you in the Purify form lists. If that comes back, and if that comes back with nothing, then you've done that step. So the only other step that's left is to see, because you did have power node issues. And basically, that's a linked list. It's like a list of things where one item points to the next item, which points to the next item. So you have three items. One points to two, two points to three. When you remove, and in two, if you looked at two, two's previous is one, and then two's next is three. If you remove two, one's next should now point to three, and three's previous should now point to one. If for some reason that gets broken, they will point to something that doesn't exist. So they may not get updated, and it points to a reference number two, which is no longer there. Node number two is gone, so it's pointing to node number two, which is no longer there, and that's going to equal a crash. So anyways, that's a virtual machine. And this virtual machine, now let's take a look at the node. I believe you had something in here called a node, adjacent node power utils. And here's what he puts about that. So that is kind of like the two things I've seen in your buff out log. I don't know what causes those things. I've never really looked at them that closely. But hopefully, you've already got your scripts, you got your unattached scripts removed. That now I don't. Now, on a side note, I don't know if the virtual machine crash was caused by the power node, or the node was caused by the virtual machine crashing. So if the virtual machine crashed and the power node got corrupted, then you're going to need to do both, which you've already done the first step. So the next step would be to try to do the power grid, to fix the power grid. And there is an option in the holotape that allows you to remotely destroy the power grid at a settlement. You don't want to be at that settlement when that happens. Now, here's what I would do. I would destroy the power grid, save the game, and then like, let's say you're at Red Rocket, or better yet, I would even be away from that Triangle of Death. You could be all the way to Abernathy, and that's what they say, that's part of it, or just in Concord or something. I would try to destroy Sanctuary's power grid, save the game, reload that same game, and then make an attempt to fast travel to Sanctuary. Outside of that, you can try posting another buff out log to see if it's still a power grid issue. I'm going to venture a guess and say that it depends on the state of the power grid problem, why it corrupted and how it got corrupted. And, as to whether or not remotely destroying it can fix it. Because I can't say for certain. I mean, it should, but I can't say for certain without actually taking a look at the data and trying to debug it. If all of the nodes got cleared after the power grid was destroyed, because I think I've seen posts where people have tried that and it didn't work for them. So there's got to be some condition where it may not work. You could possibly try to go back to previous game saves and fast travel to Sanctuary to see if you can isolate where the corruption occurred. And then once you get into there, like let's say it occurs on the 9th game save back, and then the 10th game save backwards, is okay, then try to go into Sanctuary and then try to repair the grid from that point forward, and hopefully that'll help. So give that a shot, and then post back how it's going, and we'll see if we can try and help figure out something else that might work for you. So good luck with that, and I hope it fixes the problem.